Hello there and welcome to Macrowaves. This is my very first video. In fact, I wasn't planning to make a video or even start a YouTube channel, but I just wanted to share some things with you related to Wychoff, the distribution and the reaccumulation schematics that everyone is talking about, at least in the last few days or last couple of weeks or so, related to Bitcoin. So I hope you can bear with me in this video. I wasn't planning on starting a YouTube channel or making this video. I just felt an urge to get this out there. I have a very busy professional life. My intention was not to become a YouTuber or to be a YouTuber and to do this, but I just felt I needed to. So if you like it, please let me know. And let me know what you think about all this Wyckoff stuff, because I'm starting to see some things that aren't matching up and some things that are matching up. And I want to talk about that with you in this video. Remember, none of this is financial advice. If you want financial advice, seek it from a professional. But I can tell you that I do consider myself kind of like a macro investor person. I'm not a trader. I don't trade with leverage, but I do keep my eyes on the fundamentals, the technicals. As you can see, I do follow the bonds, treasuries. I look at the ratios constantly between junk bonds, high quality, low quality junk bonds, the NDX versus the S&P 500. I keep a close eye on the dollar index and a whole bunch of other charts. But in today's video, I really want to focus on Bitcoin, because that's where all the attention is on at the moment. And as you could see from the thumbnail, I put Wyckoff cancelled. Well, I think it might be cancelled, and I think maybe the media, and when I say media, people posting about it on YouTube, about how it's matching with Bitcoin 100, the price movements, that it's matching with Bitcoin 100%, which I'm not so sure. But you be the judge of that. You let me know if any of this is interesting, or if you agree or if you don't agree with what's going on. I'd love to hear your viewpoint. But anyway, let's get started. As you can see, there's a big question mark there with a huge tsunami. And what this lady might soon be realizing is that she believes in the Wyckoff, reaccumulation, that price is going to go shooting back up to the all-time highs, when in fact maybe the opposite is about to happen and wreck us all. So do be careful out there. Let's see what happens. Now, I guess the first thing I want to show you is just the Bitcoin price itself. And I guess the first place I need to start is looking at the distribution phase. And I have gone over that. If you'd like me to go into that in more detail in another video, I have gone over that, and I will circle back to this in the end of this video. But as you can see, I've kind of mapped out the distribution of Wyckoff on the way up. And now we're really going to look at where we are now. As you can see, we're in this consolidating triangle pattern, which we had a wick to the downside. And generally speaking, as you may or may not know, generally we can expect around the 70% of a consolidating triangle pattern of either this inner triangle or the outer triangle. At around 70%, we can expect a breakout to the upside or downside. And you can see that we're still very much maybe around 40%, I'd say, 40 to 50% of the smaller one and a little bit less of the larger one. So it is early days yet. That's why it's signaling early days yet. And I have this exponential curve here going from the all-time high down here, just as a line of reference, looking at these tops here kind of curling in there, and also this recent point here as well, hitting that average, which is quite important. We're under that average, and that average is curling lower, as you can see. Yeah, so that's kind of important to just note before I start off. Let's go a little bit closer into the actual schematic. There are two schematics, and I need to dig a bit deeper, but there are two, as you can see on the right. We have one with the spring and one without the spring, but I believe they're pretty much identical. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you think they're not identical other than the spring, then let me know. But to me, they're different. So we have 1 and 2, right? Now, when I look at it, when I look at the Bitcoin chart, and by the way, I am on Bitstamp, just for your reference, we had the low here, right? So it looked like it's done everything similar. But one thing I noticed that it's done different is that when I look at some people saying that this is the spring here, that we just had the spring on the 22nd of June, I'm not so sure. And I'll get to that in a minute, but I have a funny feeling that this is not quite the Wyckoff. And you might be a bit shocked when I say that even though it might look quite similar, I'm not sure that this is the Wyckoff, because what I think this is more pointing towards is the show of support. So what I think this looks more like is the show of support over here. As you can see, maybe I'll just bring it in a bit closer, is you can see SOW, right, phase D. So that's still in the distribution phase, not in the accumulation schematic on the right over here. That it's more looking like the behavior of the SOW here. Because like if I go back here, okay, and remember, this is just what I'm seeing, right? You might see it slightly differently, but I see, let us count it together, yeah? Let me just grab my tool here. Yeah, all-time high, we have that first move down, we have that lower high, and then we have that big move down. Yeah, we had a little slight move here up and down, but let's just, yeah, maybe we can count that in as well, because that's also on the top right chart there. It's the LPSY. And then we had the SOW here, right? We had this move, okay, this move, this move, this move in that consolidate. Then we actually went a little bit higher, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we actually went a little bit higher on this move. So what I want to point your attention to, why this may not be, what I mean is why this may not be the accumulation phase. This is my point, and let me know if you agree. Is this whole structure the reaccumulation phase or not? Let me know what you think. I could use a hand. Let's do that again, shall we? Let's go back. Let's go back here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we had a bit of a boom, boom, boom there. We had the show of support here. We messed around here a little bit. Then we went a little bit higher here than that one. And then we came down again to make a new low. Now that, to me, signals more of the show of support and still in phase D of the distribution, setting up to go something like this, as you can see, into phase E. I don't know. Okay, let me know what you think. Because when I look at it, I'm going to bring up some other points in a minute too, but when I look at it, when I look on the technicals, on the longer term, okay, I hope it loads fast enough. Yeah, okay, on the technicals here. Oops. Yeah, so it did hit support recently on that new low, which is great. And remember, I'm a big Bitcoin bull. Like, I'm the biggest bull there is. But you know, we do have to look at both sides and the probabilities. But there's also this channel here, which we have to, this kind of gap down here. We've got to be mindful of that, and we've got to be mindful that we haven't really retested the resistance either. So we're still really in the middle of no man's land. And when you look at this this exponential curve here, this is kind of telling us that we've got a little bit more time, possibly to play with, to create a phase, to maybe complete phase D, which we might be coming close to, and phase E. Because if you think about it, phase E, if it would fall around there, let's say, let's call it mid-June, that would be around the 70%, around the 60% of the larger triangle consolidation, and more than, I would say, around the 80% of the smaller triangle. Yeah, so So before we see a breakout to the upside or downside. So that would make more sense to me, that we have more time to play with before we see any huge moves. And so that's why I think there's more room to the downside. But let me know what you think about the timing. And to be honest with you, it was great to see that wick down the other day, yesterday. But the recovery has been, it doesn't, it looks like a bit of a panic buying situation, as I heard some people saying. It just hasn't had that follow through that we're looking for. And it's been I think 24 hours or so, and there's been no breakout. But okay, I'm digressing here. What I'm trying to say here is I think there's something bigger playing out, and I want to move now to something a little bit different. Okay, what I want to move towards is, why do I think it's cancelled? Well, I don't think it's cancelled in the short term. In the short term, I think maybe there's a misunderstanding of the Wyckoff pattern itself. I think it's a much longer term pattern that's playing out. Let's go to this one right here. Let me bring that into the middle of the screen here. I think this is going to happen, but I think we first need to see SC here. We haven't seen SC. And I think this accumulation phase is going to last, 6 to 9 months. So now what I would like to talk about, I'd like to shift gears a little bit, as you might be curious. Here's the link. You can check that out as well. But, I have something to show you that you might be interested in, is this chart here. And you might be thinking, goodness, what on earth is that? What on earth is that? This is astrology, and I'm a big fan of astrology. I'm a big fan of technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and astrology. And I'm not an expert in any of those. But it's something that I've recently come across a year or two ago, and it's something quite interesting. It's the Saturn square Uranus transit in 2021 and 2022. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. But first of all, you're probably wondering, why are you bringing astrology into this? Well, look at the pattern here. I'm going to show you in a minute how this is working. I don't know how it's working, but it's working. But let me just show you what is the Saturn square Uranus. That's the kind of the gray big one, the big gray line here. You can see it's got 2 peaks, and then after December this year, it goes higher and higher and higher. Okay, what is the Saturn square Uranus? You can go to astrobutterfly.com. The Saturn square Uranus, 2021. The clash of titans. Saturn square Uranus is the most important transit of 2021, right? In February 2021, we had the first Saturn square Uranus transit. The second exact square is June 2021, and the third final square is in December 20. So there's 3 times here. You can see that there's a red one here. There's a red one around January, February. There's one in the middle of the year, which is coming up now, July. Mars square Uranus, and there's Mars square Saturn at the end of the year. There's 3 massive points of disruption. So what is this all about? Okay. Basically, the alignments between Saturn and Uranus are a collision between the old and the new. Times when change becomes unavoidable. Okay. And what have we seen this year? We've seen massive disruption in the financial system as a result of the pandemic and all the underlying factors as a result. Now, what I'm going to do now, just bear with me, I'm going to show you, we're going to go back in time a little bit. I'm going to show you what happened. Now, Saturn square Uranus is very much the disrupting force that is Bitcoin. You can see it as kind of like whatever happens in the Saturn square Uranus is happening in Bitcoin. And remember, last year we had the big break above the all-time high going into December. Actually, on the December 16th, we had the break. Okay? But as you can see here, if we go back to December on the astrology here, we had the start of that red peak. Okay, and we had the slow sloping line there all the way up. The Saturn square slope, the gray line, all the way up to around mid-February, right? Increasing in strength. And what did we see in the Bitcoin price? In the Bitcoin price, we saw all the way from December this huge long movement all the way into the 21st of February, which was the first massive top, right? It made another all-time high, but if you look at the on-chain analysis, the smart money was actually coming out. They were moving their profits out of the price still went up after this. The high was made on February 21st. The price went higher until April 15th. They made it the all-time high. But if you look at the on-chain analysis metrics, the wallets, the biggest wallets, were actually moving out already. They were taking their profit out of Bitcoin already. And look back at the astrology here, the Saturn square Uranus. It peaked out. It kind of peaked out. Let's see, it peaked out around June, I would say, if I'm not, mid-June. So it's kind of like right where we are now. It's kind of like completely, it's peaked here. It had a peak up here and kind of went sideways. It kind of lost its power, made another high, but the money moving out of Bitcoin people were taking huge amounts of profits, and the price has just subsided and come to a kind of culmination point that we're heading into right now, where you can see this red line here on the astrology. July, we have for the first week of July, we have a point. We have an upcoming point here. So I don't know about you, but this is quite. I found it quite interesting how this is mapping quite closely. If we look at January the 1st here, 2021, what happened to Bitcoin here? January 1st, if we zoom in here a little bit, we had a break, pullback, and a continuation move, and then we had a kind of consolidation period, a triangle, until we had a retest we back tested support, basically, right? 22nd of January, you can see when we back tested support, it was that massive push up to that high, that all important high, where a lot of profit taking started to happen, right? And you can see in the astrology what happened. The first 3 weeks of February. The first 3 weeks of February, we were almost reaching that Saturn square top right there, almost there, almost peaked out. So that I found quite interesting too. So there you go. Let me know what you think about this. I find it really, really interesting. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about related to the Saturn square Uranus is that it's all about the long process of change. As you can see here, insider's view of reorganization. That's exactly what's going on, in this post-pandemic world, and with all the restructuring going on in organizations, monetary systems being, completely, all the infrastructure being changed and updated with Ethereum and Bitcoin, new rails going in. And what about Saturn versus Uranus? What's that all about? Yeah. Well, as I showed you on this chart over here, if I just bring it back to you, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the kind of the disruptive force that I find so interesting in the astrology that maps to what's happening in the Bitcoin price. Saturn square Uranus. What's it all about, right? Saturn square Uranus have opposite functions. Saturn creates structures, Uranus breaks these structures so that a new superior order can emerge. Does that mean that fiat currency, all the printing, is coming to an end? Let me know. Saturn, here's some keywords: restriction, limitation, structure, boundary, stability, rules, control, discipline, authority, responsibility, mastery. Saturn's energy is contracting and stabilizing. Saturn glues things together. No wonder it rules the knees and the joints of the human body. Uranus, on the other hand, represents the need for freedom and change. Bitcoin maybe. Uranus transits bring sudden and unexpected breakdowns and breakthroughs, flashes of insights and awakenings, rebellion and revolution. What is Bitcoin all about? It's about showing that another way is possible. It's really the best hedge against a central bank debasement of currency, right? So going back to the BTC chart here, and when I think about where we are, I just want to summarize a little bit, is that I just feel that this is more looking like a show of weakness. Because, if I look at this, right, and I say to myself, as I mentioned before, is that if this is a consolidating pattern, then we really shouldn't see a breakout until the 70 or 80% mark, right? That means we've got a little bit of, it can even, come up here again. We've got a little bit of time until it can do something like this, for example. And as you can see in the top right graph there, the distribution schematic number 2, phase D is quite a sharp move down and has another kind of like, not really a back test, but it has it kind of wicks, it kind of goes down like this, doesn't it? So that's what I think is going on, not the other thing. That this pattern is not the reaccumulation phase. Far from it. Far from it. And when I map it to what's going on in the equity market, in the S&P 500, for example, if I look on the daily, what's happening there, I do see a lot of weakness coming in. Can we really start heading up to? And I do like Fibonacci retracements, by the way. Can we really start going up here? When I look at the dollar strength, the dollar strength is also staying pretty much contained. It's staying very much contained in this massive wedge, possibly a bearish wedge. Okay, so maybe we would have to see the dollar break down now very hard to see huge moves up. I'm not sure if we're going to see that. We could, but I think right now we're just teetering right now, and that this is a whole thing that's going to take time. It's going to take 1 or 2 weeks to play out until July. July is the time. The first 2 weeks of July, if you look on the astrology here, we have this Mars square Uranus. This is the main theme of this year in the astrology. It happens only 3 times. Mars square Saturn, Mars square Uranus, these Mars squares, right? And the Saturn square Uranus, it happens 3 times this year. One just before March, mid-March, then we have one mid-June. We're pretty much there. And we have then another red square here with Mars, first 2 weeks of July. So that's signaling to me that something's going to happen around, the first week of July, I'm thinking, right? So when I look at this chart, when I look at the Bitcoin price, I say to myself, well, could we break up? Yeah, of course we could break up. We could hit this resistance, test that resistance finally, and then come down again. Or we could keep going. Or we could break out, July, first, second week of July, break down and test lower first before having the automatic rally, which would make sense if you look at this one, for example. If you look at the PS here and the SC, we need to see an automatic rally. We haven't seen any automatic rally yet. The automatic rally, AR, here in phase A of the accumulation would only happen after SC. We haven't really seen an SC yet, in my opinion. That will happen down here, over here on the chart, end of phase E. Yeah, and then we can, and then the top of that will be a retest of the resistance that it's retesting, that it broke, in July maybe. So something along these lines. This is what I'm kind of, one scenario that we see that break, and then we see that automatic rally, and then we start doing something like this, and then we have that reaccumulation starting to happen, okay, and staying in that range. That's where all the hedge funds, this is where all the hedge funds, they need time to get into Bitcoin, right? They need time to get in where all the weak hands are getting out of Bitcoin. This is where, in my opinion, all the weak hands will get out. The media, let me know what your thoughts. Ever since the China FUD up here and the mass liquidations, right? The media has been, there's been a lot of bullish news for Bitcoin, a lot of bearish, a lot of FUD, right? A lot of FUD. I think you'll agree. Right now, in the last couple of weeks, there's been lots of positive news, but there's been no follow through. But there's also a lot of FUD as well, but no breakdown. So what's really going on? Is the media, now let me know what you think about this, because remember, the banks control the media, and the banks are the ones that are scared about Bitcoin. In a way, they're that's one of their enemies. Maybe I'm not finding the right way to express it, but the banks control the media, and the media are saying, get out of Bitcoin, get out of crypto, blah 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 blah, right? So maybe now the banks want the media to win. They want the people, the mass, the people in the world, the masses, the mass of society. They want the masses to say, oh, you know what, the media was right. It isn't a good bet. Bitcoin is not a good bet. Okay, well, I'm getting out of my position. But they're not going to get out of it here. Why are people not going to get out of Bitcoin in this consolidation zone, in my opinion? Is because all the influencers and all the people on YouTube are saying, okay, it can't go below 28, it can't go below 27, it can't go, no, we're not going to 24, no way, no way, no way, no way. It makes sense. I see what, I can see that argument. I also want the same. I want Bitcoin to go up like this. But the reality is that maybe this time, the media the banks want the media to actually have a win. They want them to be, the media was right. Bitcoin is indeed not a safe thing to get into. And then this is what's going to happen during that period. And that's where the hedge funds will get in, right? And then we have the taproot activation. If you want more, if you want me to talk about that later, I can definitely do that for you. But yeah, this is just my opinion, guys. It's just one guy on the internet. Don't trust my opinion. Don't take it to heart. But do give me your 2 cents on this. This whole period of time, the clash of these two titans, and we're talking about Saturn and Uranus, these are the two titans, can produce extreme tension and crisis in our society and impact our lives as individuals, either directly or indirectly. That's exactly what's going on. That's how I'm seeing it right now. One more thing before you go. What I wanted to show you as well is about the lunar phase. I do believe a lot of people know about the lunar phases. I don't trade around this at all. It's just something interesting to me. But if I just show you the lunar phases here, look, I don't trade around this. It's not something I use as like signals or something. But what I can tell you is that Bitcoin does follow new moons and full moon cycles. A little bit loosely, but what you can see now, tomorrow, this video is on, it is now the 23rd of June, it's now 11 p.m. And the last one we had, let me just see, the one in the green here, let me just go to the green one, was a new moon, right? And when we have a new moon, it generally has some kind of high. As you can see here, you can go back here, look at general high, high, high here. You can see that, right? It's not rocket science. And when there's full moon, there's generally a low, as you can see here. It doesn't always perfectly match up. It's either lagging or ahead. And you can see here, tomorrow, the 24th of June, we have a full moon. So I'm still awaiting a full, is it a full moon? yeah, full moon, the yellow one, to appear somewhere as a low. And the low, where is the low going to be? Is it going to be here? Is it going to be down here? It can't be up here, can it? So something's got to give. Something's got to give soon. I believe it's going to be printed tomorrow, the new moon. So here, this is on the daily. So this is full moon. So somewhere, will it be down here? Will it be down here? I don't know. Can it be above here? That wouldn't make sense. So let me know what you think about this, if you were aware of this. I only recently knew about this. What I just wanted to say is that lunar cycles, I don't know how it works. The powers that be, the elites, the manipulators, Satoshi Nakamoto or whoever, Elon Musk, I don't know. Whoever, Donald Trump, I don't know. But you can see here there's a pretty clear pattern, isn't there? Let me just look at this. On the daily, we have a full moon, we have a low. New moon, we've got a high. Full moon, we got a low. New moon, we got a high. Just take this into consideration. I find it interesting. Anyway, I wish you a very good evening. Like, subscribe, leave a comment if you want, and hopefully I'll make another video. I don't know. Bye for now.